Hello everybody, what is going on? I am Joey, and today you join me here with Derek for our third episode of the Spoken Wheel Show. Now, in this episode, we're not going to be covering as much news as this episode we're going to be getting more in depth. There's a lot of really interesting cars that just came up and are up for sale, and this is quite an interesting episode for sure. So starting off, Johnny Cash's 1970 Rolls Royce, I believe it's a Silver Shadow, was recently sold, but more interesting than that, it was turned into a Tesla.
Like Joey said, it's been turned into a Tesla by a new owner who just purchased it, and he says the reason for all of this nonsense is because the drivetrain needed to be replaced. So rather than putting in a Rolls-Royce engine, he decided to put in a 2016 Tesla Model S drivetrain.
Now, the transition of this car was done by a company called Shift EV, not to be mistaken with EV. But yes, Shift EV. I don't think they'll be wanting to keep their original name after this. Maybe they'll call it Transition EV or EV Switch. I don't know. Now, like being a Rolls-Royce in the factory, it still remains a very quiet car since it's electric. However, we have one issue with this car.
If you look at the back of the car, it has a very clear resemblance to one of those mobility vans, those XS vans for people.
And those vans, if you've never seen it, it's a lifted minivan with the widest gap in the wheel arches I've ever seen.
You could sleep in them.
Not even sleep in them, you could have an entire hotel in them. And as a matter of fact, the rear end, it just sticks out and doesn't really look complete. So it's kind of been ruined design-wise.
So Honda has recalled over 600,000 or more Odysseys vans, those SUV things. So I'm gonna let Joey explain this a bit.
Yeah, this needs a lot of explanation for sure. And wait till you hear my theory, okay? It's a bit of a rant, but it makes a lot of sense. Here we go. First off, these cars are so ugly, no one wants to see them on the road in the first place, so having them being gone is kind of a good thing. You don't have to see them, your eyes can last a little longer, don't have to pay for, cataract surgery, that kind of thing.
So these cars are being recalled for faulty door latches, backup cameras that don't work, and non-illuminating dashboard lights. So some of the most important things on a car, seeing what speed you're driving at in the middle of the night, and if your door is closed or not. Some things that I would like as an appliance or convenience on a car.
However, there's a bigger pattern here. Why do minivans need sliding doors? What was wrong with regular ones? They still open, they still close, you open, you close, you enter the car, you exit the car, boom, it works. Rather than going,
making that horrible noise that we have to listen to.
No one wants to hear that when you close the door on a car. It should be a solid thunk or a yeah, not. The other thing, though, about minivans is because they have these doors, they're like delivery vans, but for kids. The dashboards on these cars are so ugly that having them not be illuminated is kind of a nice thing. Again, you save money on eye surgery. Plus, who would want to be seen driving this? Or this? Or this? Or this? Or this? Or this? The simple solution, don't buy these dreadful cars. No car, no problems. Sometimes my genius is quite frightening.
So, we've found the McLaren F1's spiritual successor. It is the Gordon Murray T50. It is designed, hence the name, by Gordon Murray, who is mostly known for...
Well, one of his most famous cars is the Brabham Alfa Romeo BT46 fan car. Now, the fan in this rear car produced a ton of downforce, and we'll get into why that's important later. He's also known for the McLaren F1. Now, I don't really need to explain much about this car, you've probably heard of it by now. And plus, he's also known for designing the legendary championship-dominating McLaren Hondas.
So the T50 name comes of 50 years of Gordon Murray's designing of cars, and since this is also his 50th car.
Now, in my opinion, this car is a hybrid of the Brabham BT46 fan car and the McLaren F1.
So it's powered by a Cosworth V12 engine that produces 654 horsepower. Not to mention that it has a red line of 12,100 RPM. And it only weighs 2,174 pounds.
Just for an average reference, most typical family sedans will weigh about 4,000 pounds. So the fact that it can weigh just a little over 2,000 pounds is absurd. While we could tell you every little detail about this car, and we actually do have a separate video about this car, we wanted to get into the meat of this discussion of what is really the true successor to the McLaren F1. Is it Gordon Murray's T50, or is it the McLaren Speedtail?
So, the T50 or the Speedtail. Which is the real true successor? So according to Gordon Murray, he says everything the McLaren F1 gave you from a driving experience has been taken to a new level. He also says it rewrites the supercar rulebook, and we steered clear of having very obvious ducts and aerodynamic forms. The fan allows us to keep the car pure. He also says in another interview that this is the ultimate analog supercar. You don't hear that much today.
Now, comparing this to the McLaren Speedtail, the T50 has a 6-speed manual gearbox, while the Speedtail has an automatic. Both do have very similar steering wheels. Both have the iconic butterfly doors. Both are 3-seaters with the driver sitting in the middle. The T50 has a V12, while the Speedtail has a twin-turbocharged V8 hybrid. The analog rev counter in this car does remind me of the McLaren 12C, which is actually a compliment. It's very simple, but it's elegant looking.
And the luggage storage on the T50 is the same as the F1.
And window shape-wise, it's also very similar to the F1. Now, a side reference to note, McLaren built the Senna as a track car and the Speedtail as a top speed car, while the T50 kind of sits in that perfect middle. It's the driver's car. So, what is the true successor? Well, here's what I think. The T50, because at the end of the day, if it wasn't for Gordon Murray, the McLaren F1 would have been a completely different car, and we wouldn't even be having this conversation, would we?
No, we wouldn't.
Now, some interesting news. The Ineos Grenadier is now legal. You might say, what are we exactly saying? So, you might remember this car from episode 1.
One second. There is no car that is legal.
A bit confusing if a car is illegal or illegal, depending on... I don't know what it depends on. Let's get into this.
Ineos owner Jim Ratcliffe wanted to build a new Land Rover Defender.
Now, what he wanted to do was similar to what Superformance does with Shelby American, building officially licensed replicas.
So then, Land Rover said no to this idea.
Ineos was founded, so there would be no affiliation with Land Rover. However, Land Rover went to court over the design of this car, and Ineos won the case because Land Rover forgot to trademark the design of this car.
Something that you wouldn't want to forget, would you now?
No, you would not. You would not want this to become a Lincoln Eldorado.
No, we won't want a Lincoln Eldorado.
No, you would not.
Moving on to the bidding paddle. There's a 1957 Isuzu Isetta Caro for sale at Arm Sotheby's from the Elkhart collection.
Now, not many people turn microcars into pickup trucks. As a matter of fact, I don't think anyone has.
The bodywork on this car is not actually complete, though it is not complete. It is expected to sell in their catalog from $20,000 to $25,000.
That is quite a lot of money for a microcar. But then again, it's very unique.
I mean, look at the bubble, look at the car. And then it's a truck, it's the El Camino Isetta.
Exactly.
Another car, if you want to call it that, for sale is a tuk-tuk rickshaw. Yes, you heard me right, the tuk-tuk rickshaw.
Now, for those asking what a tuk-tuk is, here's a basic description. A tuk-tuk is an Indian 3-wheeled motorcycle car thing.
Now, the reason why it's called a tuk-tuk is because of the very unique noise it makes while you're driving it. Hence, tuk-tuk-tuk.
From its little 2-cylinder engine. Tuk, 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 tuk. This car behind us is more of a dud-dud. Yeah, dud-dud-dud-dud-dud-dud-dud. So I don't know.
Yeah, this is more a glug-glug-glug. This is a land yacht, people. The tuk-tuk is what's in its trunk. So, they're mainly used as taxis, though you wouldn't want to be in one.
No, you wouldn't. Now, this one is interesting, and I'm quoting R.M. Sotheby's here. It has a zany, don't know what that means, interior and livery. Yes, zany. It's unique, that's for sure. The crazy part about this one is it's expected to sell for $20,000 to $30,000 for a tuk-tuk.
I'm sorry, but not many people were to pay $30,000 for a three-wheeled so-called car. Motorcycles, Harley Davidsons, gassers, whatever you want to call them. Yes, I will believe you. This is a three-wheeled taxi.
Car, motorcycle thing.
With speakers on the dashboard.
Yes, does have a premium sound system.
And it has one seat in the front. You can't even sit people in this car.
Nope.
No. Up next, we have a 1948 Crosley CC 4 Happy Wagon.
Yes.
The Happy Wagon. Isn't that such a joyful, happy name?
Includes a mustache on the hood as well.
Wee wee.
This was built back when ice cream trucks were cool. Literally. And it also has the great license plate of ice cream. Ice cream for ice cream, you scream for ice cream.
We all scream for ice cream.
Yes, it's a happy wagon, happy times.
It includes in this purchase an ice cream scooper and a nice place for your chocolate sauce.
Or caramel sauce or whipped cream. You could make a whole ice cream sundae on this car, assuming you bought it on Sunday.
It also comes with a Good Humor hat.
Not that Good Humor is sponsoring this video, but if you would like to Good Humor, please send an email.
Please send us an email to his account. We'll get in touch.
Now, one thing that's interesting is the interior. It's very simple and kind of expected for the 1940s.
I like the blue weaved seat.
Yes, the blue weaved basket seat. Not sure that passed the safety test, but it's cool looking. I have to say, it's a unique car, especially with the rope doors.
This very joyful, happy car is expected to sell from $40,000 to $60,000. So if you want your own personal ice cream truck, this is the one to buy.
It's not a bad one, is it? Now, moving on to some interesting news. Rivian is finally testing their pickup truck, the R1T. Yes, I know, a very memorable name that you'll completely remember in the next 5 minutes. The car went viral at the 2018 LA Auto Show.
But then suddenly, it all disappeared.
Yes, not a Dateline show. Now, Rivian is doing a 13,000-mile test to show its durability, even though Mercedes-Benz does 200,000-mile tests.
And in this photo, they're trying to show us its toughness.
Yet this specific and exact road that's in this photo
is not really that tough at all.
No, it really isn't.
Good news!
What?
Flying cars are now road legal.
Yes! Yes, yes. In case you haven't heard, flying cars are road legal. Only in New Hampshire.
Only in New Hampshire, which is a very tiny, small state.
Now, according to House Bill 1182, it says it is now legal to drive roadable aircrafts. Now, if you think of a roadable aircraft, this is what comes to mind. This Saab jet plane. Take a look at this. As you can see in this video here, the airplane is landing on a public highway to then pull into the base. Now this, my friends, this is a roadable aircraft.
Right.
And here it is taking off. This is a roadable aircraft, not what America's offered. Now let me show you what America's offered, because we were rather disappointing.
Yes. Now let us explain to you what cars you can buy.
So first up we have the Terrafuglia. This video you currently see on your screen is the Terrafuglia. It looks decent as an airplane, but when it converts to a car, it's hideous. I mean, take a look at that.
It looks like mattresses.
Yeah, you wouldn't want to be seen driving that. Luckily though, you do have some other options. From the Netherlands, you have the PALV or PALV or PALV or Pulp. It sounds like orange juice. And it's this weird helicar-copter thing. I mean, it is bizarre. Now, in case you don't want a helicar-copter thing or an ugly, weird car, long thing that's 20 feet long like these Cadillacs, we got another option.
You got a problem with
this is the Samson Sky. Now, it hasn't officially been tested. These are digital renderings, as you might remember Derek's rant on those. And we have one issue with it. Besides being hideous and looking like it has strange teeth, it looks like a Gee Whiz. And the Gee Whiz is awful.
That's a car you never want to see again. I'm sorry. Take it off the screen. No, get it away. Get it away. Get it away. Ah, thank God. Get ready for Roast My Ride because right now we're thawing out the meat and putting that car on the grill.
Oh, yes, we are. Now, usually we roast modified cars.
And Fords.
But today it's the new Chevy Tahoe.
According to Chevrolet's website, this car has a commanding presence that is impossible to ignore. But is it too impossible to ignore?
Yeah, I mean, it's so bad you want to ignore it. Now, the headlights make it look like it has a broken jaw. It's not a good thing.
And not to mention the grille that makes it look like it's smiling and basically making a devilish evil master plan about to eat your car alive. And the body lines on the side basically lead to nowhere, which is confusing because they should lead somewhere and have some design and factors in like why the fins are symmetrical and, you know, the body lines. I mean, come on, people. This is elementary school lines.
This is just like, oh, let me add this. Oh, no, let me add this. Let me add this. It's like shopping at a grocery store.
It's
you
like
always come out with more than what was on your list.
It was like you walked into the designer studio and they walked in with a hammer and chisel and well, we should have a line here.
Now, moving on to the rear of the car, the rear taillights look extremely cheap and cheesy for a car that's supposed to be beefy and strong, claiming it can
They
tow
look a
lots of
bit
weight.
dated, too.
Yeah, they look
Like
more
the
dated than the previous one.
Like the early 2000 clear taillights.
Yeah. And then it has 4 exhaust pipes, even though this is nowhere close to being a sports car.
Just looking at the rear end, what is that chrome piece doing behind the Chevy? Like it just out of nowhere, a chrome piece, they just, tossing bits, as you mentioned once. Bits on a car, Joey?
Yep, bits on a car. And there's no reason to get the rooftop tent option because
you can go camping in their wheel wells.
Then moving on to the interior, it already feels outdated, but yet this is a car you can't even buy yet. All right, everybody, I hope you enjoyed watching episode 3 of the Spoken Wheel Show. If you haven't yet, make sure to subscribe to the channel for more content to come. And as always, I'm Joey.
And I'm Derek, and thank you for watching.
And we'll see you next time.
Goodbye.
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 Bye. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Moving on.
Yes, goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye. 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 I don't know if there's a goodbye song, but this is it. Boom. Boom.